In a world of Android phones and phablets that are almost interchangeable, let's be honest, this has come along and stood out. And for much the same reason as I've championed Nokia phones, see the feature in the last few minutes, in the past for innovative imaging. Here in the Asus Zenfone Zoom, we have a genuine bona fide 3 times optical zoom. No, it doesn't shoot out from the back or make the phone unpocketable or let dust in, like the Galaxy K Zoom, cough, cough. Just like the Lumia 1020 back in the day, this is all internal, except that this time the light entering the camera is bent twice through 90 degrees, meaning that the lengthy zoom optics can be sat parallel to the display itself. I was skeptical given that the aperture, which ranges from f over 2.7 as is to f over 4.8, when zoomed, my guess was that this would be horrible in anything other than sunlight, and I was wrong. The Zenfone Zoom produces zoomed images which are right up with most other camera phones in terms of low light noise. Quite astonishing. And it's thanks to high quality Hoya optics and a dedicated image processor with good algorithms. And happily a barrage of firmware updates over the last month as Asus keep tweaking it all. This is one of their flagships after all. There's the usual mess when using LED flash for people indoors, which almost no phone gets right. There is an official Zenfone Zoom Xenon accessory which plugs into the micro USB port. It sounds like a kludge, but hey, I'll try and report back this in a phone show chat in the future. See some of these photo samples anyway, zoomed and unzoomed, with a 2-stage physical shutter button, laser focusing, OIS and a 13 megapixel smart front side illuminated sensor, plus more shooting modes and things to experiment with than a Galaxy S5 in heat. The Zenfone Zoom, as the name suggests, is very definitely a camera-centric phone. Video captures at 1080p max and sadly in mono only, though there are microphones both ends of the Zenfone Zoom, so hopefully a stereo audio upgrade is coming down the line. Zooming and OIS seem to work well in video mode too, plus there's digital stabilization as well, a terrific combination spoiled only by some, usual persistent autofocus hunting issues. The camera's mounted in a circular island, somewhat artificially. It's clearly heavily influenced by Nokia's Lumia 1020 here, though it's well done. And hey, the old Nokia aren't around to sue Asus anymore anyway. The camera glass is neatly recessed, but looks a little broken. What you're seeing is that one side of the circular lens gap is straightened off. It looks odd at first, but it's simply the beginning of the straight edges of the first of 2 45-degree mirrors, and that's how the magic works. The rest of the back is plastic, faux leather, but nicely textured for maximum grip, which is just as well as the metal edges of the Zenfone Zoom are thin, curved, and easy for fingers to slip on. There's a big ridge across the back here to keep the phone from rocking around when you lay it flat on a desk, and it also keeps the rather average speaker sound from getting muffled. Here's a demo of the speaker. This is a full volume. It's all a bit tinny. And unimpressive, but it's loud enough for the average user. On such a media-centric, camera-centric, video-centric phone, though, I would have expected better. Around the front, things are much more usual. A 5.5-inch IPS LCD Gorilla Glass 4 display, allied to rather large bezels, top, bottom and side, make this a phablet, definitely a two-handed device. It's rather painful to note that the hardware is very similar in size to the Nexus 6, which has a full 6-inch screen in exactly the same form factor. Ouch! Capacitive controls give the full screen to work with at least. It can go very bright indeed, but the automatic controls keep the backlight in check well, and this helps give the Zenfone Zoom good battery life. I got through a normal day with complete ease. There's a sealed 3000 mAh battery inside, and I never needed to top this up with a micro USB power bank. You would have thought that USB Type-C was the way to go for a 2016 handset, but remember, the Zenfone Zoom was first shown off in early 2015, and it's a relatively old design. The Zoom is fully Quick Charge 2.0 compatible too, though not with the full range of voltages seen in some other flagships. Happily, Asus has been bumping up the internals as they move the Zenfone Zoom to production. This comes with a maximum 128 gigabytes of internal storage, plus micro SD, so that's 256 gigabytes if you stick in a mini SD card, plus the unusual 64-bit Atom Z3 590 processor, provisioned with a full 4 gigabytes of RAM. In terms of specifications, this thing is a beast. Unhappily, it's also a beast in terms of software. Not that anything's buggy, just that ASUS likes to provide the end user with just about anything they'll ever need. The user interface isn't that far from stock Android 5.1, but you won't believe the amount of stuff that ASUS has included. From ASUS versions of all the normal Android built-in apps, to ASUS Web Storage, to Power and Boost, to Do It Later, to TripAdvisor, to the rightly reviled Clean Master, to Zinio, to Puffin, to Shortcuts, to a dozen Gameloft freemium titles. Not enough for you? There's also ASUS Mobile Manager, ASUS Support, Audio Wizard, Auto Start Manager, My ASUS, Laser Ruler, Photo Collage, ZenTalk, ZenCircle, ZenUI, and Splendid. What? And that's not even a definitive list of add-ons, and it doesn't include all the PIM and standard apps and variants. About half of these are uninstallable, but half aren't, in a similar manner to the TouchWiz app loadouts on Samsung devices. Some of the additions are especially welcome, though, with System Update and here Power Saver breaking out two possibly hard-to-find sets of settings into icons that are easy to find and tap on, to check for OS updates, and here obviously to choose which power profile should be used. Most of this will represent a learning curve to a new user, but they'll appreciate having everything spoon-fed to them. As an Android old hand, I was disturbed a little to see quite so much bloat, and disturbed a lot by, for example, the hated Clean Master popping up dialogues and suggestions about low-level functions, even when it wasn't supposed to have even been auto-started in the first place, and when I hadn't started it manually. Is it effectively a rootkit? Happily, Clean Master is one of the applications that you can uninstall. Just do it. So what else do you need to know? There's NFC, not always a given for phones from the Far East in recent times, but befitting the price tag of around £350 imported in the UK. Not premium, but also not cheap. As you'd expect with the camera specs here, of course. Bluetooth is top spec with the aptX codec for supported accessories to get the highest fidelity sound. Oh, and there's no LTE band 20, which won't be an issue for all parts of the world, but is a pain in the UK and Europe, where I live, since at least one of the main networks only uses band 20 for its LTE, and so it's 3.5G at best. Not a showstopper, but worth noting. So the Zenfone Zoom is big, heavy, bulky, and bloated with applications, and its LTE may not suit everyone. But despite all this, it's powerful, and it does have a USP, a unique selling point that lifts it from the Android mainstream. If, like me, your phone has to be your camera, and if you find yourself wanting to add zoom into many daily shots to get up closer with your subjects effectively, then this is definitely worth considering, warts and all.